The childish way that Donald Trump likes to communicate his plans have caught on with children who are using the threat of a Donald Trump presidency to mock racial minorities in their schools and playing against them in athletic endeavors. So how does Trump respond to this? You're going to find out in this video.
There have been incidents of children, of white children, pointing to their darker-skinned classmates and saying, you'll be deported when Donald Trump is president. There have been incidents of white kids at basketball games holding up signs to teams which have Hispanic kids on them, saying, we're going to build a wall to keep you out. Are you proud of that? Is that something you've done in American political and social discourse that you're proud of?
Well, I think your question's a very nasty question, and I'm not proud of it because I didn't even hear of it, okay? And I certainly do not like it at all when I hear about it. You're the first one that's told me about that, but I would not be proud of that at all, and that's not what the purpose of it is. We want to make America great again. We want to bring back our industry. We want to bring back our jobs from China and Japan, and by the way, Mexico, with people to come into our country, but we want them to come in legally.
Are hearing from you and how they are responding to it?
Well, I think people are responding very positively.
Children,
I think the messages are very positive. You know, Make America Great Again is a very positive message. It's not a negative message.
Unless you think America is great already.
I like that ending. I don't know very much about Cokie Roberts. I don't generally listen to NPR just because I don't listen to the radio at all. But I like that ending there. She's on her game.
So I used to watch Cokie Roberts every weekend because even as a teenager, I was a politics junkie and I'd watch all the Sunday shows. And I remember the days of Sam Donaldson, Cokie Roberts, George Will, all on ABC's This Week. And then we had Sam Donaldson on the Young Turks when we were a radio show, and he gave a great little story about how now reporters have to get access and stuff. But back in the old days when you still had real journalism, every time Reagan's or Clinton, he worked as the ABC correspondent for the White House, at the White House under both presidents. Anytime those presidents complained to Roone Arledge, the head of ABC News back then, about Sam Donaldson's tough questions, he'd get a raise. Isn't that awesome?
That is awesome.
That's why I liked watching Cokie Roberts and Donaldson and George Will back then. He was a crabby conservative, but he wasn't as nuts as he is today. Now, to the substance of this, I think the framing is slightly, I don't want to say unfair.
Nasty? Would you say it's nasty?
I wish she'd framed it a little differently because it allows Trump to say it's a nasty question. The only thing is, you can't say, of course he's not proud of it. I mean, I hope not, right? Yeah. But I would have asked, aren't you a little concerned that this is happening? So even if this is the first time you've heard of it, okay, you heard of it. And in fact, let me give you more details on what happened because I covered that story earlier. In Iowa, among other places, but definitely in Iowa in a basketball game, there's this one city that's got a lot more minorities in it. So the basketball team had blacks, Latinos, and other minorities. And they're playing against another high school, which is mainly white because it's Iowa, right?
Yeah.
And the other side started chanting, Trump, 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 again when the Latino and the black kids came onto the court. Okay.
Is it high school?
It's a high school, yeah. And it is enormously fair to say, aren't you a little embarrassed by that? Doesn't that make you cringe a little bit that they're using your name as a way of insulting minorities? Doesn't that hurt a little bit? Or then I would turn around and go, wait, or are you proud of that?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Look, she said it in a slightly aggressive way. I don't know for sure what the conversation leading up to that point had looked like in terms of how she might have been a bit annoyed by his evasion, and he used the sort of evasion that he normally does. Just because I'd never heard about that, and that's the first time that I've heard about it. Yeah, but you're a politician, and you're doing a million call-in things. Every once in a while, you're going to hear about something you haven't heard about. I don't begrudge him the fact that he wasn't aware of it. I might have heard of that at the time, but I didn't remember that had happened. But you still have to answer the question. And yes, you can say there's nothing in what I'm doing where I am attempting to stoke those fears. I don't want those things out there. But you should still be bothered by the fact that there are people who are apparently racists or bigots who love your message. Like when the KKK supports you, that's bad. Like if I went out there and ran for office, I can't imagine the KKK would enjoy my message. But if they did, that would cause me to do a bit of introspection, a bit of reflection on what I had been saying. But he doesn't do any of that. He just goes on to talk about Make America Great Again.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I love how aggressive she was. I just would have framed it slightly differently, and because I am genuinely curious. If somebody was using my name as a racist chant, I would be mortified. And I think it's really, really fair to ask, aren't you mortified?
Yeah.
Even if you didn't intend it, even if we're going to give you all the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Don't you think, like, maybe I should do something a little differently so that my name is not equated with racism?
Yeah.